Stoke meter, and I have to smile because we have Monica Fullerton on the show with us today. And Monica is one of those awesome individuals that you can't help smile because of the purpose that she brings to the table. And I am again shamelessly stealing this from her LinkedIn account. Not only is she one of the most happy individuals, she is a go-getter, and there's no pun intended on that. In her description and on LinkedIn, it says she is named as a trailblazer in tech by Military Spouse magazine. On top of that, she's also on the Forbes Next1000 list. I didn't even know they had a Forbes 1000 list. That's pretty awesome. And then this is great too. She was also recently named as one of the Mighty 25, as one of the most influential leaders supporting the military community. And on top of that, she is also a mother to twins, a boy and a girl, and a savage entrepreneur is what I want to call you.
I think I'm a scrappy entrepreneur is probably the best way.
Well, and I must mention the thing that brought us together was found out that you are the founder of something and CEO of something called Spousely. And for those of you that don't know what Spousely is, I am going to let Monica explain that. So Monica, long intro, but thank you for making some time for us today.
Yes, well, thank you so much for having me and for the very kind intro. A great way to kick off the day, feeling like I'm on cloud nine over here now. But yes, I launched a company called Spousely. It's an online marketplace where you can shop a wide variety of both products and services, all created by military and first responder families. So I like to call it Etsy meets Angie's List, but with a focus on shopping for social good and supporting our nation's heroes.
That is great. Well, first of all, how did you even come up with that? That is pretty cool of us, and especially since my primary job is in the space of e-commerce and brand integrity. It's not as easy as turning on when you put an Amazon storefront up or an eBay storefront. This is a whole different animal you're creating.
Yes, I have been told that I have taken on one of the hardest businesses, a multi-vendor marketplace, as a solopreneur. So
yes.
Yay, exciting, right? The things that you don't know when you're getting started. But, I feel like it all, stemmed from my own personal frustration and inspiration as a military spouse. It actually was, the idea came to mind when I was in a car ride going to dinner with a few fellow military spouses. And I just remember thinking in that car ride alone, there was so much talent. There was a photographer, there was a spouse that made coffee, a private investigator. There was me who's obsessed with business. And I was like, you know what? There has to be something and that we can all come together, share our talents with the world. And I started doing research on it because, I was in a corporate career before this and everything. I was kind of off in my own world. As we know, with a corporate career, you're kind of just head down, doing your job, you're in kind of like a bubble. So I really wasn't quite sure if maybe there was something out there like this already. And I was very surprised with my findings. It was very limited to be able to just go to a one-stop shop and be like, I want to support our nation's heroes and their businesses. And after my research, I was like, you know what, I've got to go for it, because this is something not only so exciting, it's going to continue to empower and support more people in our community to truly do what they love while living a life on the go.
Okay, so what was the hardest thing that you've experienced? And I'm sure there's a lot. We had a conversation before with one of my another business partner. There's a lot of stones you're rolling uphill.
Yes, it's definitely a constant uphill battle, especially because we launched right before the pandemic. So it's just been that constant, trucking along. But what I will say is it also has been a blessing in disguise, because now more than ever, people are looking for ways to shop small, to make a big impact, and really have their dollar go much further than just, chucking it at Amazon and places, and then that's it. Like, if you can buy a gift that keeps on giving, why not, right?
Yeah.
But yes, from a logistics standpoint and development standpoint, it's been a lot, because I am still a bootstrapping founder. So it was very important to me to go that route, because I wanted to pour the foundation down how I knew it needed to be poured for our community. So I've just constantly been, pouring everything into it, love, tears, stress, excitement, all the things. But it's been an incredible journey.
It had, yeah. Well, I didn't know if Gary was going to say something, but I had to mention this one. I the fact that there's so many people that sometimes are willing to help. It makes it such a noble effort, and that's why when I found out, and when I talked about your learning experiences, about people trying to take advantage of
Oh,
what you're trying to
yes.
do.
As a first-time founder, you don't know what you don't know. And it's one of the greatest ways, though, that you can continue learning and pushing forward and taking any challenges or failures or mistakes that you've made, and actually use that as one of your most powerful tools to keep growing and building, knowing that, okay, I might have fallen flat on my face on this, or this person wasn't who I thought they were, or maybe this opportunity wasn't as great as it was. It teaches you all of the things, because obviously if it was an easy route, everybody would be doing it. And,
Yes.
it just wouldn't be what it is today, with all of these businesses and turning into what they are.
Yeah. Oh my
Yeah.
goodness. And what impact have you seen with the people that are joining that platform as sellers, and especially knowing where you're not only helping the military families, but you're just helping individuals build their own businesses. I mean, this is, if you really think about it, you're creating an eBay or a Amazon. Really, you're going to come into that arena, right?
Yeah. So what we've seen is that Spousely is so much more than just a shopping platform. It is truly turning into that entrepreneurial hub where we're helping our vendors grow and scale their businesses. We have vendors that started a business to just sell on our platform, because we've gotten feedback that, oh, it was too intimidating to go out and sell on another platform. So I never really took my hobby and turned it into a business because of that. But when I found out about Spousely, I was ready to get going. And that really speaks volumes, I think, to show, that it's so much more than just a shopping platform. We're providing tools and resources to help them grow and scale their businesses, as well as positioning these small businesses in front of corporate companies, big opportunities, and letting them share their stories and their skills.
I like that.
I think there's a win on the other side too, and I want to explain what I'm talking about. So this morning I went to Spousely and I said, okay, I'm going to act like I'm a military dad.
Yeah.
And I'm going to jump in, and what's in it for me?
Right.
And as I started going through it, I ended up in the children's book section.
Oh, nice.
Figures.
Yeah. But the thing that really struck me that I think is just amazing is, here you have books and stuff that is directed towards children. Like,
Yeah.
how they can get a book that they can read to their kid that talks about moving a lot, that
Yes.
talks about loss, that talks about how to handle difficult times, because it is different being a kid in the military. So, you're talking about, what you're doing for all these, for the entrepreneurs. And again, I'm not diminishing that. That's absolutely
Yeah.
incredible. But it's a win-win, because people that are in the military have specific needs, and you're also providing a venue for that. And I don't know
Yes.
if you've noticed that, or been can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, and it really truly is exactly what you said, because a lot of times, yes, there are specific things that our community faces, deployments, how to tell your child that your mom or your dad's going to be gone for months at a time. I mean, these are things that other platforms out there don't specialize in. And it's a large enough community of its own that we're able to provide those materials and provide, we have vendors creating products that they know will help other people in our community. And most of the companies on Spousely all have an incredible mission or why they started their business. Nobody in our community, from what I have seen so far in the past 2.5 years of doing this, is self-serving. There is not one company on our platform that is only in it for themselves. There are businesses like a military spouse who's created handmade bows, and proceeds go to helping families who are adopting, or, we have Gold Star families who have lost their spouse and now they've taken the step to write a book to help others get through it. And, Spousely is open to everyone to shop and support. And we encourage more civilians to come on to Spousely to learn about our community, because it's not all just, military or first responder products, but it also allows, maybe those who are not directly a part of our community to see why our community is so incredible and they deserve to shine for that.
Wow. That's
Yeah.
that's amazing. And how do you vet through the individuals and groups that are selling on there to ensure that they are not
Yeah.
just worthy sellers, but
Verified.
first of all, that's hard,
Yes.
right?
Well, it's actually, we partnered with a company called GovX. It's called GovX ID. It's basically like ID Me, but anybody that wants to come and be a vendor on Spousely, they have to go through an approval process to show that they are military or first responder affiliated. So that really makes it a seamless and nice, easy sign up for those vendors. And then on the customer side, anyone can come on to Spousely, no verification, no sign up is required. So, maybe it's Maurice, that your kids are looking for a gift or something to buy, they can come on and purchase without having any issues.
That's awesome.
So we're trying to make it as easy as possible, but also really providing that one-stop shop feel for that divide that kind of happens in our community with the military and first responders, and then also civilians, because I think a lot of times, from a media standpoint, it's always a good push around Veterans Day, shop military, shop veteran, or, 4th of July, let's be patriotic. But in reality, these are families that are going, they're deploying, their spouses that are juggling everything like around the clock. This is a 24/7 thing. It's not just a around the holiday kind of thing.
Yeah.
So, and I want to empower and encourage more people in both worlds to see that there's so much power in coming together and supporting these businesses.
Oh man.
What I think is cool about it too is, so we had an interview yesterday with a gal named Sarah, and
Mhm.
one of the things she talked about was silent leaders. And when we say silent, we're not talking about you just don't talk a whole lot. It's kind of the other person in a relationship. It's the mom or the dad that stays home, that
Yeah.
takes care of the kid. My wife is the glue that holds my family together. I
Yep.
would be a complete disaster if it wasn't for her support.
Yes,
Oh,
you just nailed it though. I talk about that all the time, like especially military spouses, they are the glue to supporting our country, because they're allowing that service member to be able to go out and do what they need to do to protect our country while they're juggling everything.
and then now they have a venue to do more and to do,
Yes.
and I know that there's a lot of people, and it sounds like you, that just inherently have an entrepreneurial spirit. It's baked into your DNA, I'm guessing. And
Yes.
there's probably a lot of other ones that are the same way, that didn't know, that couldn't go out and either get an external job or, you know
Right.
what I mean?
Well, Gary, it kind of goes back to also just another avenue, because the military spouse unemployment rate has been at 24% for nearly a decade.
Wow.
And, that's because most military families are relocating on average every 2 to 3 years. So it makes it really hard for spouses to be able to hold a career, that can move around with them, or doing something that they actually love. So many of them are turning to entrepreneurship to help
Yes.
really provide that flexibility and stability.
Well,
I've got to,
oh, go ahead.
yeah, I've got to ask you something too, because when I, in my day job,
Yeah.
there's oftentimes I'm calling in behalf of companies, big companies that say, hey, you're selling illegally, man, or something like that, right?
Yeah.
And typically it was the traditional format is just to go in and just you go in like a lawyer and you're closing something down. And I've had the opportunity, because I'm not a lawyer, and
Mhm.
to get down into the nitty gritty. And these folks are proud individuals that are starting an independent source of income.
Mhm.
And there's that sense of ownership and pride. And so I'm a bleeding heart, I'll admit. And so I'll do everything I can to make sure that that the needs are being met, if as long as they're not a bad faith seller, right?
Yeah.
Now, so the long way to the question is knowing the pride that those individuals feel when they're starting their own storefronts. What is the impact that you have seen spousely upon the people that are selling on that platform? I'd imagine that there is that similar pride, that similar, like, I can do this thing,
Yeah.
sense of purpose. So yeah, please.
It's all about self-identity, to be honest. I think, a lot of times from the military spouse side of things, which obviously is our core focus because of the challenge of moving around constantly, is sometimes you lose your own identity on this journey. And it's because you don't know what's coming next. You are moving around frequently. Your spouse is deploying or whatever might be going on, that it can be hard to focus on having something that is your own. And a lot of times it's very hard to get out of that funk. So these small businesses are actually providing them with so much more. It's now this person that loved creating this, they're able to build and grow their own business that can move around with them each time. So it really actually is a much deeper awareness. It's, you can do what you love while living a life on the go. And I think it all starts with, if I can do it, you can do it too. And that's my whole mission, is to encourage and empower more military spouses to see we can help you piece the puzzle together, because oftentimes it results in frustration and you're struggling and you're trying to figure it out because you've wanted to have your own career or you wanted to have your own business, but you didn't know where to start.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And Gary, I cut you off a minute ago. Sorry about that. So
Oh, no. I got what I was, I want to shift a little bit if it's okay. I want to take
Yeah.
spousely and kind of put it on the shelf a little bit.
Yep.
And I kind of want to talk about you. You're just, to me, you're just fascinating. I was kind of looking at your LinkedIn posts and that type of stuff. I don't know. I kind of want to know what you've learned along the way, about either people or process, what I mean? Kind of tell us about your journey, your story.
Yeah. So I have always been a firecracker with things. I'm pretty much a rule follower, but I'm also a rule breaker when it comes to things that just I'm not okay with. And
Yeah.
I'm born and raised in a small town in Ohio. I went off to college with big dreams of becoming the next Oprah. And so, it all starts right there. There's how you know who I actually am, and like just, where my brain is at half the time. I think big picture and how can I help others see big picture as well. And when I was finishing my master's degree, everything was going great. I was in South Florida, living this great life. Everything I could have ever wanted, it was happening. And I ended up getting back together with my high school sweetheart from the small town in Ohio, who also moved from Ohio to, explore his own big dreams. So crazy thing is the fact that we got back together when we're completely across the country from one another, and he was getting ready to commission into the Air Force.
That's
And
awesome.
yeah, it's an amazing story just because it's incredible to even, I never thought in a million years that would happen. Like, I'm telling you, I am a planner. If you haven't realized, that was not part of my plan. Okay. But he was going into the Air Force, and that's where the real struggle of my own personal journey started. Was I knew if I was about to stay with him and start living this military life, I was going to have to put my own hopes and dreams on the side, because I was in school for communications and for business and broadcasting. And in reality, you cannot have a career in that and live the military life that could move you around. You need to be in one spot and you need to build it up. So I will say, kind of looking back at everything, it really stemmed from my own personal journey, and then starting to realize that there were so many others that had gone through the same exact thing that I did, where it was like, how am I going to be able to still be me while also supporting and loving this military journey? So fast forward, our first duty station, I got a really great corporate career, amazing company, but it was in logistics. It was something I never thought in a million years I would be doing. Like, I was really good at it. You can ask everybody. Like, I mean, I was known for being just such a firecracker in logistics. I'm the type of person where give me something and I will turn it into, whatever I need to do, that it's 110%. So, I just remember thinking, after I had the twins, I was about 5 years into that job, or 6, whatever, right after my master's, and things started to change once I had kids and everything. I was still working, still traveling, doing everything, trying to juggle it. But there was something inside of me that was like, this isn't what I want to be doing. Like, I want to do something I truly love. Like, how on earth am I going to do that? Now I have twins, living a military life, working a demanding corporate career. How on earth am I going to do it? So I know, long-winded answer, but entrepreneurship, I've always wanted to be an entrepreneur. It definitely is in my DNA. I come from a family of entrepreneurs. I've always been around entrepreneurs. But for me, entrepreneurship is something that is not just how many companies can I create and sell? How many companies can I turn? Like, I knew it had to be something that I was passionate about and something that would make a greater impact. So
I've got to ask you this. This is completely off the cuff. Are you a Buckeyes fan?
Yes, we are. not like crazy diehard, but yes, we are.
Okay. No. So I got to tell you a story so most of you don't know. Here, you're looking at Monica, just well kept and everything else like that. And yes, she says she's a firecracker, but yesterday we were talking with her, and she's a firecracker. I mean, boom. And the reason I asked you, are you a Buckeyes fan? I was in Columbus for a business meeting one time, and I went into Schmidt's Chocolates. It's over there in Germantown over there. And I'd never had a Buckeye.
Oh, you haven't?
I hadn't to that.
Yeah, okay.
So we went in, and they go, this is the place, you got to get it. And while I'm in there, my business partner, he goes, hey, he tells the shop owner, he hates the Buckeyes. Like,
bad place to do that.
So she was really nice when we walked in, and she, in all seriousness, looked at me and goes, we can do without your business.
Oh my gosh.
And then I go,
no, I was going to say, that's not the place you want to be doing that.
Let me explain here. It's not a hate as much as you guys took Urban Meyer at that time. And then she was best friends again. And I've seen that.
It's a very loyal place.
Yes.
There's a lot of people that have ties to Ohio, though. I swear, everywhere we've lived, everybody I meet, everybody's like, oh, I'm from Ohio, or my mom was from Ohio. It's like, I feel like it's like the central hub for like, yeah.
And so when you say you're a firecracker, I had to put it in context because you are passionate. You'll go for it, but
Yeah.
it's just
The Midwest vibe, I guess.
That nice. You just relate with people like the before my business partner said he hates the Buckeyes. It was that nice, but do not do things that will get in the way, or else boom, there's a firecracker.
Yeah. We have very big hearts and we do really care and we love hard work. But if anything, is stopping our flow, we're gonna have to figure that out. Even if it means selling Buckeyes, okay? Those are so good, right?
Okay,
so
what is a Buckeye? I have no idea.
It's like a peanut butter mix, like circle basically, and it's dipped in chocolate.
Oh, you had me at chocolate.
Acorn.
All right.
It looks like a Buckeye.
Yeah,
okay.
A Buckeye.
Right.
Yeah, a Buckeye. There you go. Yes, yes.
There you
they
go.
are delicious. If you've never had one, you gotta like Google a recipe and just make them at home.
Oh, they're nuts. And then you gotta go
All
to the restaurant next to the Schmidt's chocolate because it's Schmidt's all you can eat German food.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So
That
good.
sounds good. That sounds
Yeah.
good. So first, how big is this? Well, how big is this little town you grew up in?
Well, I guess it's not little anymore. I was actually Googling it the other day because I'm always like, is it small? Is it not small? I think I don't remember what the number is, but it is still considered smaller, but it's growing. I'm from Medina, Ohio. It's outside of Akron, Canton.
Oh, nice.
So the only reason I asked that is
it's not like Piggly Wiggly, let's go get a bar of soap kind of place.
Gotcha. Yeah, that makes sense. So you said you come from an entrepreneurial family. What did your family do? What was kind of their background?
Yeah, so, well, I was raised by my mom and my grandma, and they've just always been an inspiration to me. My mom I'm an only child, so she did everything to always make sure that I was taken care of. She raised me to be a hard worker, to believe in yourself, and to just go for it. And I watched her firsthand do that. So she's owned multiple businesses. I remember when I was little, she had like a nail salon. Then she was like in insurance. She was always doing things. Now she owns an excavating company. And yes, I mean, talk about like not afraid to roll up your sleeves and really get at it. So, she always did that. My dad's a doctor. He also owned a restaurant and nightclub and a surgery center and things like that.
Wow.
But I learned the most because I didn't grow up. They weren't together growing up. And I learned the most from my mom and my grandma. My dad, chose his career over family. And it was very hard when I was thinking about entrepreneurship, like, how am I going to find that balance? Because I know that it can be so hard when you're building something and pouring everything into it. How do you still have the family piece of it as well?
Wow. That is a seriously entrepreneurial family. Good night.
But I was also the friend. So all of my friends, I felt like all their parents owned businesses, whether it was high school or college, but I was always the friend that was sitting at the kitchen table with their parents, talking about their businesses, why they started it, how they grew it, and all these things. My friends would get so annoyed with me because I'd be like hanging out with their parents. They're like, come on, Monica, let's go do this. I'm like, no, but wait, there's more. I'm learning.
So it is baked in.
This is a reverse from something that we just heard the other day. We were interviewing Liz Wiseman, a very famous author on leadership. Oh, cool. And she was saying that she was kicking it with her daughter and taking her friends with her. And when they got home, the daughter looked at her and go, "Mom, those are my friends. This is my here." And so it's kind of flipped. Those are my parents.
I've always been like an old soul. I think it's probably the only child in me. Like my mom took me everywhere. Like I'm talking like adult only Christmas work parties. I was there. Like, so it is pretty cool though to see, because I always kind of resented her a little bit for trying to make it all work. Like she was just always going 100 miles per hour, trying to balance it, but now as a mom, I think that it's one of the greatest gifts that we can give our children is showing them firsthand what it takes to actually follow your dreams and to, do what you love, because it's not easy. It's so easy for us to say when our kids are going to bed at night, like, you can be anything you want to be, follow your dreams. But if they don't see you actually doing it as a parent, it's very hard for them as they get older to understand, well, how do I make it work? So as much as this has consumed a lot of me for the past few years, growing and building from the ground up, my kids they were like 3 when I started Spousely. They've been a key piece in this journey. And it's so funny. They always talk about Spousely. They tell people about it, and they're only 6. So they're always watching and learning from us is the point I'm getting at.
That is
makes
so
sense.
fantastic. Watching mom succeed. Go ahead.
Yeah, watching mom pull her hair out all the time.
So I'm going to ask you something. I'm not quite sure how to phrase it.
Okay.
So bear with me as I kind of navigate through this question. So as I was looking at your posts on LinkedIn, and from what you're telling me now, so to start with, it sounds like your mom and your grandma were probably your biggest influences, and kudos to them to start with. But I see this trend with female entrepreneurs, and they either back off completely and just don't want anything to do with that identity. Then there's those that lean into it super, super hard.
Yep.
And it feels like you kind of navigate that middle area, and you kind of feel I see that you feel that it's important to accept it, acknowledge it, but not rely on it. Can you talk about that a little bit?
So are you asking, as being raised by, my mom and my grandma, and being a female entrepreneur myself, have I been influenced by the way my upbringing was to kind of have that fight in me? Or can you reword the?
No, I'm gonna push it down the road a little bit. I guess now that you've I'm not gonna say, well, you've arrived, like you've got something in place. You're very successful, but yet I see in multiple of your posts where you're cautious about leaning too hard into the female side of entrepreneurship. But at the same time, you also, I can tell that you see the importance of that message as well. Does that make more sense?
That makes sense. Yeah. It's very important to me to find a balance with that, because I'm the type of person that if I have a seat at the table, it's because I earned that seat at the table. It's not because I'm checking a box for something because I'm a female, or, a lot of people don't even know that I'm half Indian, and I never use any of that stuff to, it's great. And I'm not saying it in a negative way. It's great to leverage, because women do face many, many more challenges. I mean, gosh, we have to really shatter some of those glass ceilings, but at the same time, I do walk a line in the middle of that feeling, just because we can be anybody we want to be. And I don't ever want anyone to ever feel limited because of who they are. So my messaging is very much around, yes, I am a female entrepreneur. I have built and grown everything that you've seen, on the front lines, from my own confidence and power to continue pushing forward. But I don't ever want it to be the one reason why people want to support. Create something that's going to make an impact that can help other people, whether it's even just a business that helps other women succeed. I think that's incredible. But for me, it's more about staying in that middle line, because I was in a male dominant industry. I was in logistics before this. So it was always hard because I was one of the only women in the room. It was hard and challenging, but at the same time, I realized it's all a confidence thing. If we are allowed to, be who we are freely and speak on what we believe, those doors will start to open, and it'll get more women in the room to feel confident that they can also be at that table.
That is awesome.
I don't know if that really answered it, but yes, I do.
No, I did.
Try to stay in the middle. And I think it is from my own experience. And, And with my dad's side of things, I mean, he came here from India and built this life. I mean, he worked so hard to build it, and he did it all on his own. And my mom has done the same thing. So I just don't think that it has to ever limit you, is where I'm trying to go. If you are determined, you can do it no matter who you are.
That is so fantastic. I know you said that you wanted to be the Oprah.
I just loved how she inspires, she always inspired people by sharing stories to
Yes.
uplift one another.
Yes.
Yeah.
And the fact of the matter is, that's what you're already in the process of doing. It's just in a different medium. It really is. I mean, think about it. When I looked at Spousely myself, the thing that hit me wasn't the products, it was the stories that were coming along there. And the stories from those individuals, the impact that Spousely has had, and giving them an awareness of what they're capable of.
Yep.
I'm going to call you the Oprah of e-commerce.
I love it. So exciting. Best day ever. Yes, but it is pretty crazy to see how in my personal journey, things are continuing to come full circle. I went from thinking I'm never going to be able to do this or to do what I love, to be the person that I want to be because of the path, that I've chosen. But now you get to a point, that you start to see it once you just allow yourself to stop having those kind of thoughts.
Yes.
So many great things continue to happen.
What? Okay, that actually just sparked another question, doggone it. There's so many people that want to do something that are golden handcuffs. Maybe they're executive vice president in a logistics company, or they have just a killer job and they want to start something, but they're scared.
Oh my gosh, I've had many talks with people about this lately. It's hilarious. I'll be like setting up a conversation with some very high up person at a corporate or whatever. And then the tables turn. They're like, actually, I'm considering jumping over to entrepreneurship. Do you have any tips? And I'm like, I thought we were talking about, getting spousely partnered with you, but you want tips from me? Okay, sounds good. But I've seen it many times. And as you guys know, I think it goes back to, we all sometimes hit that wall if we are not truly doing maybe what we ever thought we would be doing, or maybe things change. We can pivot. I mean, gosh, us military spouses are really amazing at pivoting. So it's like, something that you were happy doing for a decade, now maybe this new decade, you're not quite feeling it anymore. And I think the biggest thing out of that is don't limit yourself. And oftentimes we feel like it's a checkbox of our career. Like, okay, I'm at this salary. I've worked my way up here. Things look great. I talk about that all the time. I was making a great salary. I was working remote, traveling, meeting all these CEOs and CFOs and things. My checkbox was completely full of personal, like, okay, I did it. I did all the things, my mom and Grammy said, like, to make sure you're successful, whatever. But it's okay to, check off all those boxes and create a whole new set of boxes, no matter what age or where you're at in your journey.
Right. That is fantastic. And I hope that people will give ear to what you're saying, because there are so many people that do want to start their own thing, and just the fear, it's unreal. Thanks for just showing, it can be done.
Well, the one quote I always share is, growth begins when comfort ends. And that is something that is so true. I am living and breathing that quote right now. It was very hard for me to give up everything I had worked so hard, just from a stability standpoint. It's been one of the most challenging things I've ever done, to be honest, but I have seen so much incredible growth happen since going all in on entrepreneurship. And it's incredible. Yes, I might not, I haven't taken a paycheck in over a year and a half. I haven't seen anything like that, but it all falls into place how it should, if you continue to stay on the right path.
Oh, isn't it interesting? Comfort's such an interesting concept.
It is.
Because comfort keeps us in relationships we probably shouldn't be in sometimes. It keeps us from eating right. There's so many things.
Yes.
But so I started running 0.8 of a mile every morning.
Oh, wow.
And everyone's like, why 8/10? Well, that's what the loop is. It just so happens to be that way. But now that's my comfort.
Oh, see, I was like, if I could even get to that point, that'd be great.
But kind of my point is, it's interesting how, you know, I've seen people on both sides of that equation where they're in a company or whatever that it just doesn't fulfill them, but it's comfortable. You know, and then there's those that go through the hard work and go through the challenge and they jump off into the deep end. And then you see them down the road, and that's their new comfort. And so that, I think that's a huge part of it too, is people get comfort in where they're at, and they don't want to get out of that comfort zone.
Well, if you're uncomfortable, you're probably doing something right, because that is going to take you to a whole another level that you didn't think that you could get yourself to. Like right now, I'm at that crossroad of like, okay, you know, Spousely is about to be 3 years old after the new year. And I'm like, okay, what does that look like? I'm at that like timeline of, you know, what are the next steps and everything. And it's a very uncomfortable feeling, because you just don't want to make the wrong decision. But at the same time, it's just that next step to going forward. So
it really is.
Yeah.
Oh, man. I'm loving what you've shared today, because there's so many relevant points, but I think what I took away from it most is something you just gave me over here, is the growth begins when the comfort ends. It's something I'm going to be sharing with the team tonight. And this is an athletic team.
It speaks volumes to a lot of people.
It does. And just looking at the things that you've been able to do especially the people whose lives you've been able to touch. And that's a great thing about leaving that comfort zone, is it doesn't just impact you, it impacts a whole lot of others. Fantastic stories.
Well, I appreciate it. Yeah, I never thought that I'd be building such a complex thing on my entrepreneurial journey, but it is, like I said, right where I am supposed to be. It feels good that I'm doing so much good to help others, because I know the feeling. I've been there many, many times. And if we can continue to help one another push forward, then I am all in.
Well, I think you're just the prime example of when you combined absolutely good intent with bridled with passion. I mean, I see you as kind of combining those two traits. And it's just amazing to watch.
Well, nothing fuels my fire more than being told no. And I've been told no a lot. Every time someone's like, oh, well, maybe I don't understand that. Well, why wouldn't I just go to Etsy? Or maybe it's, well, you're not going to be able to grow this. And how are you going to do it bootstrapping and all these things? I actually get really excited when people tell me that stuff, because I'm like, yes, I'll get to prove somebody wrong. I mean, they could be partially right, but you know what? I don't care. I'm going to find a way to prove them wrong, just because that's the fight in me, I guess. Kicking and screaming.
I love your energy, and I love what you do. And absolutely, I love the purpose-driven company that you're building. And so best of luck to you. And if there's anything that we can help you with, please let us know. Okay.
Yes, I appreciate it. Thank you so much for having me and for letting me share more about our amazing community.